Welcome to Season 3 of the Casual Camping Podcast, your home for the best camping discussion both in and out of the field. Here are your hosts, Tim and Ade.
Hello, everybody. Welcome once more to the delectable delight that is Casual Camping Podcast. My name's Tim, and this fella to my left or right, I don't know what side you're on.
I'm in front of you.
Woo!
I'm Ade.
How you doing, my brother?
Still in the afterglow of last week's delicious food. And having a re-listen to the episode, although it was long, I laughed all the way through. So I hope you joined us, and I was certainly listening. I know you sometimes think I don't.
Well, you know, we've got busy lives, and sometimes we can't always listen to the episodes again. You know, obviously, I listened to it about 3 times in doing the editing, but I have to say, I laughed a lot too. I thought it was a really, considering it's our longest episode ever, I think it was a really good episode. We've had quite a bit of nice feedback from listeners. So I hope they didn't mind us sticking out a long one there that took a few goes to get through.
Well, I think I can certainly sort of tell when we're enjoying a subject and we're talking about it, and it gets, you just have to keep going with those things.
I know we do try and aim to do like a 40 minutes one, don't we? But I thought that was a 40-minute episode, but we just got totally lost and engaged in the excitement of telling people about our camping trip and swags and then the food and everything else that, hey, you know what? An hour and 10 minutes, who cares?
Yeah,
Enjoy.
Well, enjoy. We did, and we're doing it for us, Tim. Remember, I know there's people out there listening to us in the back and beyond of wherever you are. Not Antarctica. We've not got the Antarctica guy yet, have we? Or
no.
gal.
Or gal, or penguin. You know, we'll say anything really. You know, come on, people. Somebody out there must know someone working in Antarctica who could send us a picture of them listening to the show from the bottom of the world. And then literally we've got 7 continents. Then we can shut down the show. We're finished then.
It's a bucket list, If you want us to stop recording stuff, you know what to do, people. Who can make it? Oh, Hugh could probably make this happen.
Hugh probably could. Hugh must know someone who's working at the arse end of the world and could make this podcast stop.
Counting icebergs or something. Counting icebergs on rations. Oh my God.
Yeah. Hugh's got to know a penguin cowboy out there somewhere. Lassoing penguins.
So this week I think will be a shorter one, and it's been a great week actually. It's got a little bit cooler in the UK. Yeah. I think it's getting a little bit warmer over in southern parts.
It's definitely got wetter in the UK. We've really had some monster rainstorms coming through this week. So anyone who has been out there camping in the field, hats off to you, because it's been some challenging weather this week. I'm camping in a couple of weeks' time, and I'm already starting to look at the long distance weather forecast and thinking it's definitely going to be wet weather gear. It's going to need full waterproofs.
Yeah. Do you think that it's that accurate? Like long away, it sort of changes so rapidly, I think.
It's certainly UK weather forecast. I can't speak for the rest of the world, but UK weather forecast, it's not even accurate in 24 hours. The best you can do is get good at looking at the clouds and get good at reading the weather for the next few hours by just looking outside, because the weather forecast here in the UK, whatever app you're using and whatever weather service you're looking at, tends to err way too much on the side of caution. And if it's going to be a bit rainy, they say it's going to be torrential. You know, if it's going to have a few spots of rain, they say it's going to be raining for hours. You know, they really haven't got a clue. So Get good at looking at clouds, people, because the clouds will tell you what's going on in the next few hours, and just be prepared. So if you going away this time of year, there's been a few people on different camping groups asking for suggestions about how should you go camping on the shoulder seasons, as they're kind of called, the spring and autumn stroke fall.
The shoulder.
Shoulder.
Brush it off, Tim. Brush it off.
Whoop, whoop. It's but if you are camping in shoulder seasons, you just got to be more. You got to be more prepared. You've got to make sure that actually it might still be warm, but chances are it's certainly gonna get cold on an evening, and it might be wet during the day. It might be very changeable. So you just got to take a bit more gear and be a bit more prepared for any eventuality. But as long as you're prepared, you're going to have a good time, and you're out there camping. So go for it, people.
Yeah. Go with what you think you might need, and then chuck a couple of extra bits in just to sort yourself out should you need to.
It's always good to sort yourself out if you need to.
Oh.
That's a soundbite if ever there was one.
It really is. I don't know where to go with that. I was like, oh, you could take that many different ways, but I've only gone one direction. Anyway.
So what are we talking about this week?
Well, we are once again talking about the different prices of campsites.
Oh,
and
yes.
what do you get for your money? And talking to friends, people we meet, there is still a hell of a lot of confusion about why are the prices so different on campsites.
Yeah, there is a huge amount of confusion out there about the cost of camping, and we know we've talked about the cost of camping before, and we've done a couple of good episodes last year on the costs from the consumer's point of view, and then the costs from the campsite point of view. But people are still confused about it, and it does cause a lot of chatter, doesn't it? And
Yeah.
Some of the sites we've gone to more latterly are actually quite expensive sites, really. When if you were going on your own, some of these sites, there'd be a lot of money to go on your own, and that's it's a reality of camping at the moment, isn't it?
Well, it really is. And especially if you're camping with your partner. So we went camping as a group recently, and we shared equally the price of the weekend between us.
Yeah.
If you're going with your partner and your family, that cost of a weekend, it sits firmly with yourselves. And that can really be quite expensive, depending on where you're going. And I think it's kind of worth talking about, what do you get? Why there is those differences, and specifically what you need to be looking at when you're choosing, really. And maybe as you're booking up, just ask a couple of questions, because I've booked up, and even I've been doing this for years now, but the internet and PitchUp and HipCamp and all those booking sites are still relatively new, and they're still getting some of those confusing things that are putting on prices. So ask and go, how many people can I get on this? Actually, we've all got, because there's some sites where you book up and you go, can I have up to 6 people on this site? But then start to go, it's 3 meters by whatever. It's like, but how do you get six people on that if you're all coming with tents?
Yeah, and that's one of the big questions that always comes up. Does 6 people mean 6 tents, or 1 tent and 6 people? And
yeah.
It's such an important question to ask, particularly if you are, if you're booking onto a more expensive site and you want to go as a group, which makes an expensive site cheap, or certainly an awful lot cheaper. But actually it's not. If you've all got to book separately, and suddenly you're all on really expensive pitches, and it just means you're not going to go, doesn't it? It just means you're not going to go. And campsites and those websites that you mentioned, they're not giving enough clarity on that, and they it's a simple change that they could make. What does that mean? What does booking this pitch mean?
Yeah.
We've been to Nigel's farm. We haven't been this year to Nigel's farm over in Shropshire, and he's that's as budget as you're going to get. But it's what is it? It's £25 a night for the pitch. The pitch is a quarter of a field, and his bottom line is you can put as many people as you like on there if you want, and that's people or tents or both, and it couldn't be clearer than that. It is so simple, and now the cost of camping, we know campsites that cost more than £50 a night. 25 quid for the pitch is a bargain.
It really is, and I would say that airs on to the semi-wild camping area. So, and you can find places like that. There's Wild Camp, Camp Wild, various other places that have those, and you can look around for woodland and bits and pieces if you don't mind it being rough and ready. What I would say for places like that is they're great. You get out in the wild, but they're not a long-term kind of thing. The facilities that they offer are really low.
Yeah.
You might have running water, or you should have running water on any kind of campsite, really. But it might just be a portaloo, and it might just be a cold water tap.
Yep, and we've both stayed on sites that haven't had cold water, and we've also stayed on sites that don't have a toilet at all.
Yeah, I've done one, and they were primarily for, I think, RVs that had their own toilet. So it was just by the side of a river. I think somebody just sort of, don't think they necessarily should have been doing that for me. I think that's not a campsite, is it?
No.
And we are talking primarily about our experiences in the UK. We're very aware that there are so many great places around the world that really have the great outdoors first and foremost for the people that live in that country, and you can go and just pitch up and do whatever. Our experience primarily is in the UK, and some of the challenges that we've got, because we have very few places where we can just rock up and camp out.
Yeah, when we were interviewed for Really Good Camping, Tim Good on there, he was absolutely shocked and surprised that there's very few places in the UK that you can just go. Very, very few places. All land is owned by somebody and controlled. All the rivers are owned and controlled. You can't go fishing anywhere. We're aware that the UK. Actually, it's funny, isn't it? In doing this podcast and in talking to lots of people on our socials and getting to know people who are camping all over the world, we realise actually we've got a really raw deal here in the UK. In that
we really do.
We don't have wild places that we can go to. We have to go to these nearly wild campsites, and sometimes pay quite a premium. They're not always the budget ones, are they? They have minimal facilities, but some of them are still actually quite expensive. They're £40-50 a night to stay in some of these, nearly wild places, because it's kind of on trend, and therefore you pay a bit more for something that's on trend, don't you?
On trend, beautiful locations. I've seen a couple of places where you are on the apex of a bend on a river, and you've got to trek into it, and it's like, oh my God, I'd want to go there.
Yeah.
But you pay a premium for that, and somebody that's the landowner or whatever else is going, right, okay. And I think also you've got the Airbnb kind of mentality of how they generate their money, and all the cleaning things that go on and stuff. I've started to see an awful lot of campsites that charge for not only a second car, but a first car. And
Yeah.
so, you go, oh, £25 a night. I'm bringing a dog. That's £5. I want a gazebo. Oh, that's £10. And the second car because my friend's coming from a different direction. And all of a sudden, you're on 60 quid for a night. And then go, oh, well, I wanted to stay for two, but. And it just starts to really push it up, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. So, looking at sort of the difference between a budget and a more expensive site. I don't want to say premium site because some as we just said, some of the most basic sites we've stayed on are actually some of the most expensive ones that we've stayed on. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna. I don't think it's right that we name sites in. I know I named Nigel's farm, but he's cheap as chips and bargains. So I don't mind. I don't mind naming Nigel because he's a top bloke. But I don't want to criticize any of the more expensive sites we stayed on because actually we've had really, really good adventures on those sites and we're prepared to pay that. And certainly, those more expensive sites that we've been on, we have gone as groups for that purpose. So we've asked that question of how many tents can you have on a pitch? How many people can you have on a pitch? How big is a pitch? Then we've kind of arranged it as a group to say we can get 4 of us on that. As long as we all bring smaller tents, we can actually get there. We've done that up in Yorkshire. We've done that. We've done that in several places, and that then means you get to those more expensive sites that would ordinarily put you off, and it's a quarter of the cost. So instead of being, £100 for 2 nights, it's 25 quid each. And suddenly, that seems all right, and you've still got money left to go down the pub and have some beers on a Saturday afternoon. Boom.
Well, and that's my point, really. Are there sites that are group sites? Now, and when you talk to sites about groups, they get really panicky about it. Oh, well, it's not all fellas or all lasses, and what is it? We don't do hen do, stag do, and yet their pricing kind of says, actually, this is only really an inexpensive way to get out into nature if we do it as a group of friends.
Yeah, completely. And I think, when we first started camping, there were groups of like 20-year-olds who were going out and getting really drunk. And there are still 20-year-olds on campsites getting drunk and being a bit noisy. I have to say it's getting few and far between because camping's got more and more expensive. So it's not necessarily the cheap way to get away that it used to be. Actually, most of the groups out there are 40-year-old blokes, with or without their partners, and sitting in a field. Yes, we might drink a lot of beer. Yes, we might burn a lot of wood, but we tend to be a bit more conscious of everybody else around us and a bit more respectful. So I think the group idea, that old idea of a we won't have groups, kind of needs to go, really, doesn't it?
It really does.
Time that kind of died, really, that idea, because it's a bit archaic now. It's a bit old hat.
I think so. And, maybe camping is the new pubs. Because, I love a pub. I always go to a pub, but maybe that's kind of like the new night out. I certainly use it as a socializing thing for catching up with friends and, finding and discovering new places, as well as kind of resetting my whole kind of I've been at work and I just need to de-stress kind of thing.
I think it's a really good idea. We're in a position where actually most of our friends live up and down the country in different places. Camping is a great reason. It's a great way to facilitate all of us coming together in one place. And it is kind of like that traditional idea of why you go down the pub to talk to your mates. Well, we go and sit in a camping field because we've all travelled 100 miles. To get somewhere central, and we're going to come together. And it is great that you can find campsites that do allow that and facilitate that, and it does then make it a cheap night out effectively because you spread the cost of that. Otherwise, sometimes quite a pricey campsite. and
Yeah. I mean,
you
we've all
split the
shared
cost.
hotel rooms and stuff, but even if you're sharing a hotel room at 120 quid a night with somebody, it's still an expensive kind of weekend away with, especially if you're drinking in pubs
Yeah.
without, you don't go to a city break and then, all go down the offie and get a few beers and bottles of wine and take them to the park, do you? You know? Can I
Eddie.
carry this one in? I mean, I'd want to.
I'm gonna say you're a tight-fisted Yorkshireman. If you could take a Yeti into a pub full of your own beer, you would do.
I brought my own. You do allow that here, don't you? Corkage? What the hell's that?
These are cans. There's no corks.
Stick a cork in it yourself, mate. But yeah, so there is that. But why is that difference? And we talked about it earlier about the fact that okay, you get less facilities and stuff, but not always. There's some great sites out there that just know what they need to make. And campsites are like hotels in one regard, that they want full occupancy.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, they only have full occupancy for 12 weekends of the year.
Yeah.
On those
yeah.
weekends, there's very little occupancy from a Sunday night to a Thursday.
Yeah.
We were talking about this. Why don't campsites go, you know what, it's half price Monday to Thursday? That kind of just to entice people in and go, right, well, we know most people work Monday to Friday and stuff, but it's an awful lot of people.
Yeah.
And
Or even say like, stay some, book Friday night and Saturday night. You can have Sunday night half price, or for like, a percentage off, because it's just to entice people to stay that extra night, because you're then thinking, well, I could take Monday off work, I could stretch my weekend a little bit, turn up late on Friday after work and stay right through the weekend. I love camping during the week. I'm quite lucky. I don't work weekends. I do condensed hours, so I do full-time hours, but I do them condensed, so I do long days, but it means I get a Tuesday off every week. And it's really good to just then take Monday as an annual leave, use one day's annual leave, and I've got Saturday, Sunday,
4 days together,
Monday, Tuesday. It's brilliant. If I have a bank holiday, it's brilliant. I don't go back to work till Wednesday. It's I'm living the dream. It's but yeah, if you can camp in the week, you're guaranteed you've got practically nobody on these sites. Even in summer, there's not a lot of people who are camping in the week, and it's it should be a cheaper option, but it never is. It never is. Campsites do a low and a high season change in price, but they don't do a midweek discount, and they really should try and entice people.
Yeah, no, I really agree. There are a couple of sites that I've been to this year and last year where they were actually summer holidays when the kids are off. We only take week bookings then.
Yeah.
And, fair enough, understand, they don't want people just popping in. They don't want to be, when they've got minimal sites spare, they don't want people just going, oh, well, I only want to come for a Friday night, and somebody that's going to book for a week can't get on there.
Yeah.
So I totally understand that. But outside of school holidays and stuff, I think it's something that really should be thought about, because you know what? You've got the site. I know there's water. I know there's electricity that you probably have to do in order to have the site. But, where we've just been recently, they're going to open for weekends over the winter period. I was like, yeah, great. They don't have to hang around any other day. They just know that Friday, Saturdays, they're going to go down there. Anybody that's there, we're going to take advantage of it. And we also know that actually, if we're going, there has to be you, me, and somebody else to make it kind of go, right, let's go for 2 days. That's,
Yeah, let's spread the cost.
30 quid.
Yeah. The just going back to your point about sites taking, week block bookings only, you know, what and I don't disagree with that either, and I totally understand why campsites are doing that, and they get the biggest bang for the buck with that. But again, taking it back to our previous point of how many people and how many tents can you put on your pitch? Well,
Yeah.
if you've gone for a week with your family and you've got a mate that wants to come for Friday night or for Thursday night or something like that, well, you should be allowed then. If I've paid for this piece of the earth for
Yeah.
this week, and I think I can fit my mate Keith on there with his little two-man tent, and he wants to come for one night because he doesn't live too far away and we haven't seen him for ages. Should be allowed to do that, really, and you're not. It's kind of like you're locked in, and if Keith wants to come down, well, he can't because he's not going to book it for a week. He's only got a day. And there really should be some flexibility in that yeah, fair enough. Keith might have to pay that supplement that you talked about for having an extra car, but he shouldn't have to pay for his tent as well, because actually he's just come down and he's just staying for one night. And most of these sites then do other facilities with, pizza ovens and bars and all sorts of stuff that sites put on during the summer. Keith's probably going to spend some money on that. Think a little bit more flexibly in what you allow on your pitches is probably the take home for me for campsite owners.
Yeah, and 100% I'd agree with that. I think still there's that confusion, and there seems to be two or three different schools of thoughts between the campsites as to one tent, one pitch. One tent can have two people in it. That gets more difficult if you're going with your friend and you don't necessarily, you're not on an Arctic expedition where you need to share warmth.
No.
You want your own private space, not, we've not shared a bedroom since we were kids. And yet, I know you want your own space. I want my own space.
Yeah, I don't think that's an age thing. I think that's, I think it's fine if you're going for like one night. You can share a slightly larger tent, but actually, if you're going for multiple nights, and you kind of want your own bit of space where you can zip yourself in and just kind of zip yourself into it. I think that's probably one of the drawbacks of the hammock, of hammock camping, because although you've got the tarp around you. At no point did I feel like I'd zip myself into my own space and kind of close my door and you do kind of need that I think for camping. It's
and would you say that, say, hammock camping is more kind of wild space kind of thing by yourself? I mean, that'd be really weird, wouldn't it? You're in woods by yourself with so little coverage.
Yeah, and I've joked before, if an axe murderer wants to get into your tent, well, it's a little bit of nylon, isn't it? That axe is going to go through it and they're going to get you. Not to scare anyone out there, but, if they're stood outside the tent, they're heavy breathing, they're probably going to come in. It's so.
Oh, they've just stomped up a hill, Tim.
Well, yeah, maybe.
Do you have any water? Oh my God, my ankles. And I would also go, that's not an axe. This is an axe.
And the hammock doesn't really give you any protection at all, and as I said in last week's episode, I woke up on the Monday morning quite cold, and as the light kind of came on, I was just kind of looking down through the trees, and because I hadn't pulled the tarp down enough that second night, it's I could see quite a lot and see quite a lot of distance, and it did spook me out a little bit. I'm not sure. Well, I am pretty sure actually. I wouldn't wild camp solo in a hammock because I don't think I'd sleep a wink. I'd be constantly looking round and listening to all the noises.
And if you needed to get out of there,
yeah, there's no way. There's no way that's happening.
you needed to get out in a hurry, you'd actually tie yourself up ready for somebody, wouldn't you?
Totally, yeah. It's all right. I've hog-tied myself.
I'm at
It's
your
okay.
mercy. I expect you to behave well.
No, it's yeah. I'm not solo hammock camping anytime soon. And to be honest, other than that site that we were on, you know, there's very few sites that you can go out there where you can do that. So it is a wild camping thing. And as we discussed at the start of the show, there's hardly anywhere in this country that you are allowed to go wild camping. You know, in England, I know Scotland's very different, but even so, you know, finding somewhere where you can put stuff like that up in the trees is I don't know. I'm just not sure I'd do it. Where we are restricted in certainly England in camping on sites, and most sites don't have pitches kind of set up that you could put a hammock in.
So if you think about then. So I was just thinking about the fact that those more budgety sites that tend to have a field that don't have specific pitches set aside for them, are they cheaper? Whereas actually when you've got a site that says, you know, you pitch on number 12, that's your bit, then you kind of know how much space you've got a little bit that you can go, right, okay, what they say we can have 6, right, okay, there's 4 of us getting on there with tents that are not too big or something.
Yeah, I would say yes to that. And I know whatever we say now, there's going to be somebody listening going, well, I don't think that's right. I think this one with a big open field is really expensive.
Don't do an impression of
Oh, that was my inner voice. Sorry, was that out
loud? Everybody's going, who was he doing in practice? I was only joking. There's a lot of joking on this podcast. So, but maybe that's it, isn't it?
Yeah. So big open fields do tend to be, you know, as a rule of thumb, much cheaper than sites that have really laid out, you know, sizes of pitches and say you can have number 12, you've booked number 13. You know, sites tend to be more expensive. Again, if when you're booking, you can actually pick that site, you know, that pitch that you're having. Those, you know, in my experience, is it? Well, let me put it to you. Those sites that have clearly defined pitches and only let you go in those measurements, are they sites that also have caravans and glamping pods? And those sites are really trying to maximize the money in every possible way for, you know, maximize their use of land in every possible way. Are they more expensive to camp on?
Yeah, I think they might be. I think as well, the amount of investment that those sites have made, you know, they tend to be the ones that have really nice facilities.
Yep.
You've then got the partner pressure of, I want to go somewhere that's got a nice warm toilet, I can have a shower, I need some electric and those other things.
Yep.
So yes, you know, there is an extra cost to those kind of things and places. So maybe, you know, they are trying to maximize. But then you've also got the likes of those sites. So I'm thinking of a site, and I know we're not going to name people, but we went on a site earlier this year, and the site for a couple of people on there. Now, we emailed them and said, yes, we can have, I think there was a group of 4 of us on there. But actually, the price went up for putting 4 of us on one site and made it just ever so slightly cheaper than when we'd been the year before, and we actually got two pitches and put two people on those pitches. So it was like about £10 difference. And yeah, and I think that's the thing. Whereas actually, when I said there was two of us, can we all get on one pitch? There was a slightly bigger pitch, and I thought, right, let's put all on there. And then there was an extra added price because there was four of us going on it. And that's the bit that starts to really sort of get people's goats of, actually, I know it's a business and I know you want people coming, but how many site owners have we talked to that said, actually I'm having to discount in order to attract people back and I'm doing this and it's just getting too complex to try and work out. Well, can four of us go on that site? If, there's a lot of sites and their terminology is couples.
Yeah.
So you and I, as brothers, would not be classed as a couple because we'd both want our own tents. And yet, two adults on this site, and I think that's the language that hasn't really been clearly defined by sites like Pitch Up. They've got disclaimers about no groups of lads and we don't want this and stuff. And yet there's this ambiguity with pitches, what kind of tents are going on there, who can go on there, and actually they're just after your money, obviously. But
no, I agree, and yes, as you rightly say, campsites, it's a business. They're trying to make some money, and we understand that, and certainly, if listeners go back and have a listen to Cost of Camping Part 2 from last year, where we had some direct anonymized insight from a campsite owner as to the costs of setting up and running a campsite, it blows your mind how much they've got to pay. So I totally understand that they're trying to maximize their profits. However, you got to speculate to accumulate. If you're in a nice place and you've got okay facilities or better, and you drop your price, I guarantee word of mouth will get round the camping community far quicker than any kind of paid advertising that you've done.
Yeah.
And you will get full really, really quick because it will go around and you will have occupancy like you wouldn't believe. I guarantee it.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I think, like hotels, occupancy is what you want. I've not seen anywhere that drops the price in the midweek, because I'd go. I'd find time to go, actually, can anybody get time off midweek? Because, it's this price.
I get every Tuesday off, so I could go Monday night after work and come back Tuesday night. It's, I'd be quite happy doing that. It's, people work flexibly now. If you've got good Wi-Fi, and someone's got, a job that they can do remotely or have a working from home day, they can work remote. They can work from home in their tent. They can sit around, they can put a few hours in, but they're in a camping field, they're burning stuff, they're cooking nice food. They can take an hour off and go for a bit of a hike round. Give people that flexibility. Drop your prices in the week, include Wi-Fi, because charging people for Wi-Fi is a blooming sin. I think that's just ridiculous. It's not costing you anymore it's cost you once to put the Wi-Fi on. It's not costing you anymore to put 10 people on the Wi-Fi. That's it's just a con, is that?
Yeah.
Give them free Wi-Fi, enable them to come midweek and work from your site. It's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer for me. Drop your prices midweek, people.
Yeah, and I think kind of following on from that, another top tip, which we've talked about previously, but if you do find a site that's listed somewhere and whatever, go onto Google, find them that way and message them directly, because they'll have their own website and say, what is it for cash? A few that have knocked a fiver off it for, it'll be this, because they're not paying the big things. But speak to the sites, talk to them and say, this is what we're wanting to do. We went to one last year And I reached out to them because it said no groups. Groups, please, all male groups, please contact us directly. So I did and went, listen, we're a bunch of guys in our 40s and 50s. We'd like to book thing. Just thought of it. And they went, yeah, cheers. And what it says in doing that is we're respectful.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, totally.
open the dialogue, and mostly they'll go, all right, well, it would be this, but tell you what, that's it. Mostly you will get that because most site people that run them are great. You're their customers. They want you there. They want you back.
Yeah.
And, we've gone back again and again because they were great. And they said, yeah, have this, have that. Good facilities, extra stuff that happens on a weekend, little cider barn that was kind of up, and, really nice kind of things. And we're not asking for the moon. We want to go camp. We bring our own stuff. We make sure that we take care of it. And, we are respectful.
Yeah. Yeah. That dialogue is probably the biggest top tip that we can give people, really, is, and that's the same wherever you are in the world. Try and get that one-on-one dialogue. Speak to them either on an email, if they've got a phone number on there, give them a call, send them a text message. If you can get that dialogue going, then actually when you turn up, they go, oh yeah, you were talking to my partner or whatever else. Yeah, we've been expecting you. That's great. Thanks for coming. And it just makes the whole thing so much better.
Yeah, that great welcome, for me, it always stands out. Somebody like, hi, they remember you. It's just good customer service.
Yeah.
Some sites are really good on it. The sites that are not good on it maybe shouldn't be doing sites. I've been at places where, they come round and check that everybody's gone to bed at 10 o'clock. What the hell?
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. You're going to have to put up with a bit of lateness because I don't go to bed at 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
Unless I'm very drunk.
Yeah, that has happened. We have been on a couple of sites where there isn't really a welcome. They're quite miserable when you turn up.
Yeah,
and actually, the two sites I'm thinking of, I haven't been to this year, and that's something that costs nothing, does it? Welcome them. Both of those sites were actually quite expensive sites, and to camp on your own, or in a small group or in a couple, they were quite pricey sites. And you know what? If I'm paying a premium for a pitch, I do want the customer service. I do want the extra things. I do want to feel like I'm a customer and that you value me. And if you're
in the service industry, it's not difficult. Most sites, they've got the, when you turn up, this is the code for the gate, this is whatever. But actually, those other sites that have a gatekeeper, somebody that you've got to check in at the office, please come here and do whatever, they need to be on point. They need to be on point. That's why you might not be getting return customers.
They need customer service training.
Yeah.
It's it's always been something that this country that the UK has always kind of fallen down on a little bit in lots of service industries. Is our customer service is it's not great. When you've travelled in different parts of the world, which I've been fortunate to do, you come back to the UK and you just think, really. Is that what passes for customer service in my home country? It's and campsites, sadly, are no exception. Some are brilliant, and you get a great welcome. And some of the biggest welcomes you get are from the cheapest sites, the real bargain budget ones, and they're just doing it as a hobby, and it's great, and they're just really pleased that you've turned up, and they're lovely, and they'll you almost feel like saying, do you want to just join us? Because clearly you're just really into camping, and you just want to sit around a fire, and you have a really great bit of engagement with them. And some of the more expensive sites I've been on has had some of the worst customer service, really, and it's really coming back to the point of this episode, really, which is what do you get for a budget and what do you get for a premium pitch? And there's no kind of hard and fast rule for that, is there? Hard and fast.
Hard and fast, the way Tim likes it. I think that is the surmising of this episode. You can look at all those things and you can think, what am I actually paying for? You and I have talked long and hard for a long time about the fact of whether or not we would want to run a campsite, have a campsite. You've even looked into land a few years ago about, what would you do? How would you do it? What do you turn a field into? And all of those things. And those miserable people have really put us off, because it was like, actually, you know what? It takes the fun away from, I'd want people to come that want me to join them, because I'd be like, hey, great. Have you got axes? Oh, I've got 10. Here we go. You borrow one for the night. Just to worry them.
Idiot. I'm going to say, if you turn up with 10 axes on you, oh my God, you're not getting many bookings. You're certainly not getting repeat bookings.
Maybe that's the plan. I made a loss this year. I made a loss last year. I'm going to make a loss next year. But
I don't know. I think they'd probably pay for 2 nights and stay for an hour. your quid's in.
That's a mighty pretty tent.
2 a.m, heavy breathing next door. I've just walked up a hill. Honest.
Brilliant.
Oh gosh. Should we disappear to a minute mindfulness? And I swear it won't be heavy breathing.
Yes.
Welcome to the Casual Camping Minute Mindfulness. Let the sounds of nature take you back to the camping field.
Oh, was that from one of our recent trips?
That was from one of our recent twits. Twits.
Were you thinking of me there, twit?
Oh God! If I really thought hard about something, I'd be dangerous.
Oh, do we have any shout outs this week?
No, got none. You're right. Last week I should have saved one. I should have saved one. Yeah, we're void of mediocre 5-star reviews. So send some in, people, because we need these to survive.
Yes. I was going to say that obviously this week we have seen the disappearance of our chat from the group.
Yeah.
Some of the changes, we're missing it. You can still comment on our Facebook page and get the chat going in there. We've got very many different subjects that we can all chat about. Me and Tim will be posting, but as always, the best group things come from you guys. So please remember to pop something in the chat. And if you're away this weekend, send us some pictures. We'd really love to critique your camping style.
In a positive way.
In a positive way.
Don't feel under any pressure there. I mean, Jesus, Ed. Jesus. Yes, post your pictures and we will critique it.
Within an inch of its life.
No, it's always nice to see people's pictures of their setups and stuff. And yeah, Facebook took the chat away. We didn't take the chat away, but the group's still there. So look us up on Facebook, Casual Camping Podcast, and come and join the group. And the water is always warm.
It's always warm, and we won't be critiquing in a bad way.
No.
So, there was something else that I was going to say, but I might have gone out of my mind. I am having a beer, so cheers.
You know what our mum used to say about that? It must have been a lie, because if it was the truth, you would have remembered it. That gives an insight into our upbringing there. Probably a little too much.
Oh, God.
Oh, dear. Catholic upbringing.
Oh, that was it. I remembered.
Go for it.
So, we're in September. You know what that means?
Winter camping's coming. Hot tenting, here we come.
And it also means end of season sales.
Yes, it does. I have noticed that this week. There is there's a load of stuff coming on people's websites. It's you know, the guys at Winterwell, I noticed they're doing a load of stuff. And if you can get to
Big
their
discounts.
store in Milton Keynes, their ex-display stuff, you know, jump on it, because there's bargains to be had. But yeah, have a look on camping websites, because it is absolutely end of season sale in the Northern Hemisphere. Obviously, in the Southern Hemisphere, you're going to pay premium because it's start of season sale.
New kit, new colours.
Yes.
But, you know, maybe you could do worldwide shipping from the places that are doing their end of season sale.
Yeah, definitely worth looking at. If you change the country on Amazon, you can still sort out shipping and get it delivered to you. So have a look for stuff. There are a lot of bargains out there. If you buy stuff, people, again, post it on the group, because we'd love to see what people are buying.
Yeah, if you certainly get a bargain. I've been looking for gas, Tim. Gas. And when we went away, I bought one canister, a large one with a screw top kind of thing for my stove. It cost me £12 for one.
Man.
Good God.
Man
and
alive.
yeah, I left it a little bit too late to actually have the overnight kind of shipping from Amazon, but you can get 6 on there. Propane butane mixture kind of thing, for 30 quid. I think there was one that was like 26 quid. So I'd have got like double the amount if you'd have said like £12. Oh no, I'd got less than, yeah.
Eddie, don't do the numbers, Eddie. Don't do the maths.
Don't do the maths.
I'd have got 17,000% of the 32.12.
It's a I think this is why I've got so many tents, Tim. It's like, it's a bargain. I could get 50 of them for that price.
Oh God, Eddie, if somebody calls you and says you've won the lottery, but they just need your bank details, just hang up, please. Please. You are so going to get scammed.
I've got to call somebody back from Nigeria. He's got a problem.
Oh gosh, that's funny. That is funny. I made a purchase this week.
Oh, what did you purchase?
The single most boring and yet useful piece of camping equipment that I've been after for a while. It's a fold-up trolley. It's a fold-up sack truck, and it folds so small, but actually it's really solid and takes a decent weight. Because there's a lot of sites now where, you know, as we were at Fire and Stars, you can't necessarily park right next to where you're pitching. Yeah. And you got to carry your stuff. Although Fire and Stars does give you trolleys and things, but a lot of sites, you know, do and don't. And so I thought, you know, I really could do with some kind of a trolley. And I was looking at those big sort of folding trolleys that our mate Barry's got. And I thought, if I take that, I can't then fit anything else in the car because they don't fold up that small. What I really need is a bit of a sack truck. And I was in Go Outdoors in York at the weekend, the largest camping store in Europe, and they had a really great foldy up, but it folds really small, but it's really quite solid, carries a decent weight.
Are those the ones with like moon tires on and stuff so that they don't sink in?
No, it doesn't have big wheels. It's the only downside to it. It's got reasonable wheels, and they're hard wheels, but they're not the big moon ones because they don't pack down enough for what I would really need.
Yeah.
But it was only £16. Cheaper if you've got a go outdoors card, which I don't because I don't buy enough from there to justify it. But you
I
know,
have one. I have one.
you could have got it for 14 then. But
Ah.
yeah, but I'm really happy with it. It's an incredibly dull and boring piece of equipment, but actually it will come in so handy on so many camping trips. I'll be able to put both camping boxes on it and a couple of other bits and wheel it all the way to where I'm pitching. You know, it's a decent piece of kit. I'm glad I've got one.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, even if you just put that really large cool box that you've got that doesn't have wheels in it.
Well, that is the thing. You know, my big Stanley doesn't have wheels, and it does weigh a ton when you've got it full of food and beer and ice and water and all sorts of other stuff. Sticking it on a sack truck just makes life easier.
Yeah, brilliant.
This is casual camping after all, people. It's not extreme camping.
Well, we love to see what people are buying and where you find a bargain and all those things. So post them on the site. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, and yeah, have some interaction. So I've been Ade. That's been great.
I think it's been a crack-a-lacking one. I've been Tim. See you next time.
Casual Camping Podcast accepts no liability and does not officially recommend any products or endorse any techniques discussed in an individual podcast episode or shown on Casual Camping Podcast social media accounts. Individuals should make their own informed decision and risk assessment of any products or advice prior to any purchase or use.